Morning. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Steph Tacey, and I want to welcome everyone here, whether you are physically here in this sanctuary, live streaming on Zoom, hello, or watching the video of this service sometime in the future. Thank you all for being here. And thank you for being part of this loving community, Heritage Universalist Unitarian Church. Here, we honor the diversity in and of each person and encourage all to find their own truth and meaning of life. You know, as I look over the sanctuary, I see many people I know and love. And yet you are all kind of far away. So if I could get anybody who's brave enough and willing to get up and move forward, we could get a lot cozier today. All right, thank you. So, as familiar as most of you are, there are faces here that may be new to us. And I'd like to take this opportunity to offer a special welcome to our first-time visitors. We're so glad that you're here with us and invite you to sign the guest book in the lobby if you haven't already done so. This morning's greeter from our Board of Trustees is Susan Conley. And they will be glad to answer any questions and give a tour of the building if you'd like one. You'll find that we have all sorts of activities happening within our walls and beyond. If you turn your order of service over, you can check out the list of some upcoming events and valuable information, like the women's retreat that was held this weekend at the beautiful Hope Springs Institute in Adams County. We also recently held our annual Fall Fest on our grounds that was open to the public. Many of you, and we are so thankful, loaned items for this use at this very successful fall festival.
So thank you. And would you please take them home with you? They're in the first classroom over there on the right as you walk out that way. There's coolers, there's tents, there's things that you're going to need for your own Halloween celebrations. Please pick them up and take them home.
Another exciting event is on the horizon. Our fall auction is on October 11th. Drinks and preview of items begin at 6.
And this is one of our major fundraisers, so come and bid early and bid often. And they are still accepting items for donation, and they'll need some volunteers. So you can reach out to John Sandman or look for those emails that say, hey, sign up for this or that.
And Reverend Bill will be leading a congregational workshop helping us reimagine communications in 2 weeks, October 12th, after the Sunday potluck.
Right here. And we will actually have childcare available for those who need it. Please let us know. All are welcome, and what we're looking for is folks who have an active hope for improving our communications. Remember from last week, I said an active hope is one you're willing to work to make happen. So join us.
And the newly formed Democracy Action Team is in full swing as it reimagines how Heritage shows up in strengthening democracy and resisting authoritarianism.
And they're going to be showing up looking really styling in these new Heritage t-shirts. Look at that. But look at the other side too. We believe in democracy, truth, justice, human rights, and peace. Amen. You can acquire your own, and where you can do that is after church service, the Democracy Action Team has that. And they can also tell you about a lot of the great events where we can show up together wearing these shirts. Thank you, Steph.
Thank you, Bill. We make a good team.
We do. We do. You got that?
Okay. All right. And then I would like to ask Steve McCamley to come up to give an announcement.
Good morning. As your choir director, most of you would probably recognize me better if I did this. But on Thursday, October 9th at 7 p.m. here in the sanctuary, right here, I will give a presentation on mental health, addiction, and trauma, what you need to know. October is Mental Health Awareness Month. Don't know if you knew that, but it's coming up. And this presentation that I'm going to give is packed with critical, practical information and lists of resources to help people dealing with these challenges. In 2019, my lovely wife, Sherry, my lovely daughter, Erin, and I formed a nonprofit called Stop the Stigma Productions. Our mission with Stop the Stigma Productions is to raise awareness and reduce stigma about mental health and addiction by educating people and fostering open, honest conversations through performances and workshops. So this presentation is an outgrowth of our show, She's Crazy, Mental Health and Other Myths, which has been performed twice here at Heritage, and I know some of you have seen it. The presentation is free, open to all who want to learn more about this very relevant topic. So we hope you will join us on Thursday, October 9th at 7 p.m. here in the sanctuary. Thank you.
I also have a desperate plea for your help. We need parking lot attendance for the next 2 Friday nights, especially for the parking for Turpin football games. This coming Friday is the big Anderson Township football game between Turpin and Anderson high schools. So that will be heavily attended, and we will be full, and we make a really good amount of money for that. The following week is Turpin senior night. So that will be another really big night for us. So please, if you are available, please see Neil Watsman. Neil is in the very back with Lucy, there he is, after the service for that. And then Bill's gonna give us.
And one more. It's a heavy week when there's so much happening, but I did promise to work this in. I was supposed to do it right with Steve's. There's the Out of Darkness walk, the 11th year for suicide prevention next week at Sawyer Point. That's not on your calendar. You might want to put it on there. Maybe even want to wear one of these shirts. And now let's move in. We're not done yet?
No, I got my part.
Go ahead.
I could have let him do this, but I didn't want to. All right. So in a moment, we'll begin our worship service. So please turn off your mobile devices or silence them or turn them on airplane mode. And that way we won't have any distractions or interference with our technology. Let's face it, the only sounds we want to hear for the next hour or so are our voices. You know, we love sounds of babies, kids, adults, and the music we make together. All right, so business is done. So now let's prepare for our service by turning our focus inward. Pause here. Take a moment to release any tension we hold within. Breathe in and breathe out slowly. Feel your hearts and minds open as you breathe. Allow the love that flows through this room and the virtual space on Zoom to fill you and connect all of us as Reverend Bill offers our call to worship.
Our opening words today are from Mary Oliver's The Journey. But little by little, as you left their voices behind, the stars began to burn through the sheets of clouds, and there was a new voice, which you slowly recognized as your own, that kept you company as you strode deeper and deeper into the world, determined to save the only life you could save. Words of Mary Oliver. Come, let us worship together. Thank you, Jen. And now we get to sing one of our favorite hymns here, Spirit of Life. Please rise as you're willing and able and remain standing for our covenant. Spirit of
Good morning. We have a few kids in the audience, but I thought that today was a day where we could do the Time for All Ages all together. I will tell you, if anyone is curious from last week about whether or not I have sufficient answers to Remy's questions, I did do the appropriate research, and when I next see Remy, we'll be able to provide the necessary answers. We are in a time right now in the Jewish ritual calendar. The days between Rosh Hashanah, which is the new year, and Yom Kippur, we're right in the middle of them. And these are the days of awe or wonder in Judaism, considered some of the 10 most sacred days in the Jewish calendar. Because we start the year with new intentions, and we end the year with reconciliation on Yom Kippur. And so for today's Time for All Ages, I wanted to offer a reminder about reconciliation and a strategy. We have in previous Time for All Ages said that apologies are not just words, they include a variety of things, 5 things to be precise. I don't know if you remember them, but if you don't, I'm about to tell you. One is we have to acknowledge that we have to say the words, I'm sorry. So let's practice that. I am sorry. Okay. You have to say what you're sorry for. So I'm sorry. Doesn't do the job. You have to ask for how to make it better. So you receive feedback from another person, that's 4. You do your best to do it. And then you tell someone how you're going to do better in the future. Apologies are not just simple words. They are ways that we reconnect with others. These are not easy things to do, so thus the strategy. In this time right now where we might be moving from having disconnection with other people towards connecting with them, one of the things we have to be mindful of is our own ability to control our own feelings. Does anyone ever have a hard time controlling your feelings? That is actually, yes, that is a universal experience. And to our parents in the room, like we all know as parents, that is both especially important and especially difficult to do. So one of the things that we teach the kids is, we are always talking to the kids about, is breathing and how we use breathing as a strategy for connecting to ourselves and then eventually to others. So the strategy we're gonna learn today is bubble breathing, okay? Now, we actually do bubble breathing with kids with actual bubbles, and that's great fun. But there's a second kind of bubble breathing that requires that we use our imaginations. Who in the room has an imagination? Good job, okay. Now, so I would like for you to put your hand on your belly. Either one. Any hand will do, as long as it's on your own body. Your hand on your body. Okay, very good. Now, as you breathe, you will notice that your hand rises and falls as you breathe. So let's start with several breaths. Breathing in and out. Your belly will rise and then fall. Rise and then fall. Concentrating on our breathing actually helps us get in touch with first our body, but can also help us get in touch with our feelings. And it can help us calm any of our really big feelings. Big feelings are beautiful. We love to have big feelings. But big feelings don't serve every moment of our life. Some moments of our life call for us to be able to rein in our big feelings. This is what our bubble will do. As you breathe in and out, I want you now to imagine that bubble, that is your belly, starts to expand a little beyond your belly. As your belly rises, the bubble gets a little bigger. And with each breath, your bubble extends a little further and a little further. In and out. In and out. Eventually, I want you to imagine that bubble is as big as your body. Your whole body is in that bubble. And all of your very big feelings can be in that bubble too. Those feelings are important. And even if they're hard feelings, they're your feelings, and that makes them right and beautiful in the moment. But you want to keep those feelings to yourself first, in your bubble. Breathe in and out. As your bubble gets a little bigger, imagine that those feelings are starting to become a part of your bubble. They're not just swirling around in the bubble, but are part of it. And that helps us contain them a little. Now, if you have big feelings because of someone else, eventually your bubble and their bubble are going to touch. And that's okay. If we are in control of our bubble, if we are breathing in and out, if we've given space for our feelings, when your bubble, someone else's bubble touches, then they can become a bubble together. And that space where you are in with another person is big enough to hold your feelings and their feelings, and gives you an opportunity to connect with them in a calm and peaceful and connected way. Now, the next time you have a conflict with a sibling or a coworker or a parent, try to use this way of breathing into a bubble Into that bubble, you can be one bubble together. And the next time we're in a large group, you can continue to imagine our bubbles growing and connecting until we are in a bubble together. But that bubble is always connected to your breathing and your belly, breathing in and out. Okay. Now, as is true with all good and glorious bubbles, they're going to pop. And that's perfectly okay, because that's part of what makes a bubble beautiful. It is a brilliant and perfect moment, and then it's gone. And in the next moment, you'll have another opportunity for another bubble. But remember, your bubble starts in your body, with your breathing, with your ability to embrace your feelings. And that is what helps us start to make meaningful connections with other people, especially when we're having a hard time. Okay? Yes? All right. For our kids who are going to be leaving, we're going to sing now, Go Now in Peace, and we're going to be finding an exciting adventure together.
May love surround you everywhere you go. You know, we sing those words to our children so they leave our warm embrace to explore their spirituality, knowing that love will be there with them wherever they are. This message also extends to each of us. No matter who you are, where you are, or what is happening, you can be rest assured that love surrounds you wherever you may go. So when you need your dreams supported and encouraged, your sorrows lightened by having the weight shared, and your joys enhanced through a shared celebration, you have the love of the whole of us standing by your side. We bring this community together during each worship service to allow individuals to open their hearts to feel this love I'm talking about. During Candles of Community, you are invited to share your joys and sorrows and be embraced by our love. Everybody on Zoom, please go ahead and type your joys and sorrows in the chat, and I'll read them once everyone in the sanctuary has had a chance to have their joys and sorrows lifted up. Reverend Bill will light a candle for each person's joy or sorrow, and he will pass the microphone to the first person, and then you can pass it amongst yourselves. Please remember that you can always have a candle lit for you in silence, and the birthday jar is available for any anniversary celebrations. And now we light one final candle for all of the unspoken joys and sorrows that we hold in our own hearts and that this community holds in love.
As we prepare to enter a time of prayer and silence, I invite you to breathe deeply, to settle into your seat, to return to the center of yourself. Return to the stillness that holds us all. Spirit of life and of love, spirit of compassion and introspection. Remind us that we are in sacred space and time. Remind us that any ground can be hallowed, any moment made holy with our intention. And it's in such moments as these we hold and honor the joys and sorrows of our fellow travelers, spoken and unspoken, saying goodbye to those we've loved, struggling in relationships, the uncertainty of that unknown when our profession changes without our choice. We hold and honor what we carry in our own hearts as well. Grief and joy, dreams and memories, struggles and triumphs. We leave the distractions and the busyness for another time. We claim these few sacred moments for ourselves. Here in this circle of community, we're invited to simply be, to breathe, to rest, to listen for the still small voice within. Let us enter into a time of silence together. May the silence we have shared remind us that even in our scatteredness, we can return again. May our joys deepen in gratitude, our sorrows be lightened in compassion, and may we go forward with hearts a little more at one with ourselves, with one another, and with the spirit of life that sustains us all. Amen. Each week at Heritage, we celebrate and share of our abundance with a nonprofit organization. Let's learn a little bit about this week's outreach recipient.
Child Focus has been the leader of services not only in Claremont County, but in the state of Ohio. And that's because Child Focus is an agency of saying yes. We are super unique. We treat substance use to major depression to complex trauma. We serve young children.
It is Child Focus, an organization that's been operating for nearly 50 years. Their offices are right next to Interparish Ministry, if some of you volunteer there. And I've followed the organization for a long time, knowing that what they've been doing is serving children and their families. They partner with most school districts in 3 counties, including Forest Hills, providing desperately needed mental health services. And with the challenges our children face today, such services are essential to them developing to be their whole true selves. So whether from home or here in the sanctuary, please give generously to support this worthy organization. Thank you for your generosity in supporting the children and families that aren't just within our walls.
I'd like to offer an excerpt from the poem Sweet Darkness by David White. When your eyes are tired, the world is tired also. When your vision has gone, no part of the world can find you. Time to go into the dark, where the night has eyes to recognize its own. There, you can be sure you are not beyond love. Give up all the other worlds, except the one to which you belong.
Before I start, Sherry, I have a request for you. At a point in the sermon where I thought we'd have a video, I wonder if you could play Voice Still and Small on piano. It's in the gray hymnal. You think you could do that? Thank you. David White tells us, when your eyes are tired, the world is tired also. When your vision has gone, no part of the world can find you. Have you ever had tired eyes? Or tired ears, maybe? Or tired monkey mind? The concept of monkey mind comes to us from Buddhist teachings. The Buddha and others used it to describe that state of restlessness that many of us feel. It highlights the need to practice mindfulness as an act of resistance to the many distractions that we face. Distractions that lure us into reaction. Reaction, rather than a more holistic response. Picture it. The monkey leaping from branch to branch. It spots a shiny object or a piece of fruit. It chases, it touches, maybe tastes it, only to be distracted by the next distraction. And with these sudden shifts, it's hard to remember what it was doing just moments before. It's full of nervous energy reacting to every stimulus. But that's just monkeys, right? Surely an evolved species like Homo sapiens wouldn't fall into that trap. Surely. And yet, not so sure about you, but I'm often not as evolved as I try to think I am. because the stimuli around us are plentiful. Busy schedules, endless messages, news headlines, family crises. Stuff happens. With competing priorities and the stresses of jobs, relationships, and simply life, who wouldn't have monkey mind sometimes? Who wouldn't have tired eyes, as David White suggests? Today, if you've not noticed, we're reflecting more inwardly than in some weeks. I encourage you to be gentle with yourself as we do. Remember to breathe. And if it helps to close your eyes at times, go ahead. Even if you doze off, I won't take it personally. It may be exactly what you need. Even a nap can be holy because it returns us to our bodies. And at the center of our bodies is a heart, beating steady, waiting to guide us back to wholeness, at oneness. In a physical sense, the heart is vital, circulating oxygen, regulating everything else, but there's also that metaphorical heart. Poets and philosophers speak of it, a place where our emotions might reside. And perhaps you've heard that we claim love to be at the center of our congregation and our faith. So let's pause. Where do you hold your emotions? In your chest, your neck, your back, your gut? Emotions like love, anger, joy, fear. Where does stress hang out when things are out of balance? Take a moment and feel it. Notice where it is and breathe into that place. Big breath in. Hold it and let it go. One more time. In. Hold it. Let it go. Noticing where stress lives in our bodies is itself an act of at-one-ment. Events of our modern times, magnified by a 24-hour news cycle, well, they provoke that fight or flight response. Fear and division pander to these instincts. So in the face of that turmoil, rest can be an act of resistance. As Tricia Hersey reminds us in her book, rest is resistance. And through her nap ministry, rest is a fundamental human right. And like many fundamental human rights, not everyone is privileged enough to enjoy it. And even for those of us not outright denied rest, grind culture impedes caring for ourselves. So we have modern wisdom teachers like Hersey reminding us of the power of rest. But we also have our ancient wisdom teachers who remind us of the power of return. Both rest and return are acts of resistance and renewal. In Judaism, the quest for atonement, or what I'm referring to as at-one-ment, is sought through a process of teshuvah, tefillah, and tzedakah. On another day, we might reflect on how these play out in the world at large, or in our relationships with others, or we might invite a rabbi or other Jewish scholar to help us apply these concepts more in line with their traditional interpretations. Today, though, we will use a more universalist lens. And we'll focus that lens on the self. Teshuvah, repentance or return, calls us inward. It invites us to self-examination, apology, and change. So begin by noticing something. Noticing what you can appreciate about yourself. You are a person of unique gifts and beauty, even if others don't shout it from the rooftops, even if you do not always recognize it in yourself. And then, forgive. Forgive yourself for not being perfect. That expectation was never fair. It was placed on you by a culture that measures worth in unrealistic ways. Teshuvah is the work of returning to love, starting with yourself. Then there's tefillah, prayer or meditation, which calls us to stillness, which might or might not come naturally for you. It doesn't for me. But if you're a meditator, meditate. If you are a prayer, pray. Or choose any other practice that helps you listen inwardly. Walking, especially in nature. Journaling. Music. Silence. The form matters less than the intention. Tefillah is whatever helps you let go of that noisy world and return to the one that is truly yours, yourself. So let's do that for about a minute and a half while Sherry plays the tune, Voice Still and Small. The third concept, tzedakah, means acts of justice and charity. Tzedakah calls us outward. And each week, we just did it. We give generously to causes of compassion and community. But generosity must flow from a well that is replenished. Otherwise, our giving becomes thin and weary. But when we care for ourselves, we can give from our abundance. And our justice work carries joy instead of resentment. And I must confess, even knowing this, I often fall into the trap of overgiving. Maybe some of you do too. Here's how it's shown up in my own life. Every few years, I find myself in a rut. Overcommitted, overextended. I've tried too hard to meet expectations, unrealistic expectations of others or myself. And then I've demanded a high, let's call it dysfunctional, expectation in return. That's when I notice first one, then two, maybe many folks in my life, roommates, friends, later spouse and kids and colleagues. Well, they don't seem quite as kind or as patient as they once were. Why are they so difficult? Why is so much of the world against me? Why? But in retrospect, I can usually see they were trying their best. The real issue was me. It was my refusal to offer charity to myself. I forget to replenish my own well before trying to quench the thirst of others. There's a very worthy goal referred to as tikkun olam, repair of the world. It's noble indeed, and it grounds my work for justice and beloved community. But when I neglect the work of repairing my own heart and soul, my words and deeds are in vain. Like a clanging cymbal, loud but empty. At the core of justice and repair for the world is the lifelong work of caring for the self, the one sitting in each of our chairs right now. Teshuvah calls us inward, returning to ourselves, forgiving ourselves, beginning again in love. Tefillah calls us to stillness through prayer, meditation, or any practice that reconnects us to our center. Tzedakah calls us outward, reminding us that giving must flow from a replenished well. Together, these three ancient practices remind us that at-one-ment, or atonement, is not a single act, but a rhythm, returning inward, centering ourselves, and offering our wholeness to the world. Friends, at-one-ment is not about perfection. It's not about tying up all the loose ends in one really big red bow. It's the practice of returning again and again to the center of our being, remembering that love begins here, within each of us, before it ripples outward into the world. And so we return again and again to love at the center, which is why David White's words still speak so truly. When your eyes are tired, the world is tired also. But when we return to ourselves, body, mind, and spirit, the world finds us again. And in that finding, we remember we are not alone. Let us hold that truth in our hearts as we join in singing, I Know I Can. Please rise in body or spirit and remain standing for our closing words. New song, but I really like it. We can go ahead and make our way to the sides, and Steph's going to help me with the chalice. Looks like maybe Les will too, I don't know. If you can come up this way, we can all do it too. May we discover in the days ahead moments to return to ourselves with kindness, moments to rest in love without apology, and moments to remember we know we can go on together.